So we're here on March 20th, 2023 for the Finance Committee. It looks like all members are present. Looks like Councilman Rader's also joining us. Welcome. We have Director Rankentor and Director Fargo here. And I'll start off by moving to approve the minutes of February 13th.
Second?
All right. Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and that passes. So, starting with the first is Ordinance 04-2023. This is about transfers and advances. It was on first read on February 21st, 2023. So, okay. Director Rankentor, if you want to do a quick rundown on where the money's coming from and where it's going.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the transfer and advance ordinances follows the routine schedule that allocates quarterly payments provided for in the 2023 budget. And these movements of funds are planned, and they're necessary subsidy for the funds to remain cash positive and to do things like pay our debt. The budgeted transfers that we have in the first couple lines pertain to aging and Winterhurst, those two funds. And the aging fund historically receives a substantial portion of its operating revenue from the general fund subsidies to administer its programs. And then meanwhile, Winterhurst has also been identified as an area that operates at a deficit and receives this general fund subsidy. Also, it's an area of big capital need that we'll see over the next few years. The middle entries on your sheet pertain to the debt service payments, and having those funds available to timely make our bond payments helps our bond rating, of course, and keeps the investment community thinking well of us. So we definitely want to do those two things. And then finally, the items at the bottom are the 2022 year-end advances that we make to various funds throughout the city in order to remain cash positive and in compliance with Ohio law. The advances really occur due to timing differences as to when those sums of money come in, and as compared to our calendar year end. And basically right now it's time to pay those funds back. So in the first quarter of each year we will have the advances made, to and from the first quarter and the fourth quarter, when that is when those things happen. And the middle quarters, you generally won't see any advances on those.
Any questions on that?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Director Rankentor. So just to be crystal clear, that with the I've got a question about transfers, but to clarify, the advances out, we're reimbursing, the proposed legislation here would reimburse the general fund for advances made in the fourth quarter of last year, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's just a correction, or restoring the temporary advancement of those funds at the time. For Winterhurst and for the wastewater treatment plant, I've got a question. So maybe go in reverse. Wastewater treatment plant improvements going to the wastewater treatment plant, that's not debt, is it? Is that an operating cost?
No, these are those are for debt payments.
Okay.
So we tried to label them on the ordinance. There's transfers, and there's transfers for the special revenue funds, and then the middle ones in those categories that you're alluding to are debt service payments.
Okay. So the wastewater treatment plant improvement fund is transferring out $275,000 to the wastewater treatment plant. What's the distinction, or can you refresh our memories as the distinction?
It's transferring funds to the debt fund in order to make the debt service payment.
Okay, so 512, Fund 512 is a revenue source to 511 wastewater treatment plant.
Yes.
Okay, and That's simply a quarterly installment payment on ongoing improvements at the plant itself.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. On the Winterhurst, I don't recall Winterhurst getting a subsidy anytime recently. I correct me if that's, my memory's wrong, in this manner. Is that not correct? I don't remember, in other words, us having to subsidize operations at Winterhurst. Is that what this is, or is that something different?
Typically, we've done year-end advances in order to cover it. We're giving it these transfers at this point.
Okay, is this more than normal?
The last 2 years, we've been doing transfers into Winterhurst.
Okay. I know that that's a emerging topic of discussion. Just to say for the record, I've heard fairly consistently from citizens who are part of user groups at Winterhurst who have requested the city facilitate improvements of service, such as better ice times, better learn to skate times, better maintenance of the locker rooms and the bathrooms. I know the administration knows that. I'm simply stating this for the record, and you've been doing important and needed work on that front. So if there are, I guess I'd like to understand if we're seeing a change or an increase in a deficit for operations or materials or costs at Winterhurst, separate and apart from capital and separate and apart from the question or the request from residents that the city get the operator to improve how it operates the business. But are we now saying there's also more of an operational cost deficit that we're experiencing at Winterhurst? Love to understand that.
So I think it just deals with the way the agreement was originally constructed. And at this point, I know our legal team's kind of working on that to arrive at, perhaps a better agreement moving forward.
Okay. Mr. Chair, Director Vargo has, it looks like he may have an insight to share.
No, I think what Director Rankator said is accurate.
Okay. So I mean, if just maybe the purpose of my comments tonight are a placeholder for a future Winterhurst conversation, I certainly am glad that we have had good operations there, but my recollection was that, acknowledging that it was 10 years ago that we originally contracted with and at least once renewed with the current operator, but the purpose and the intent wasn't that the city should be facing a whole bunch of costs. It seems almost that we are now experiencing that, so I guess count me as a interested council member in understanding what's happening and understanding how to improve our current experience there. Thanks.
Thank you, council member. Is there any other questions, concerns, comments? Very astute points. I will move to recommend approval to the full council.
Second?
Any discussion? Oh, yeah, I did move already. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, next one, we're talking sprinkler program. This is ordinance number 5-2023, essentially to expand the program into June. Previously started in July, ended in September. Now we're going into June. So, Director Rankator, if you want to kick this off, understanding we have 9 minutes left.
Sure. So the summer sprinkling program's designed to save the utility rate payers dollars in the summer months when the water usage is often higher due to summertime activities such as sprinkling your lawn, filling a pool or water garden. The premise of the program is that the sewer usage isn't associated with those activities, and therefore it seems logical that the ratepayer should be able to experience an adjustment on their bill, and the adjustment's based on the usage during the months of January through April. And that establishes a base sewer usage charge for the program. And usage above that base amount then is not charged on the sewer portion of the bill for the summer sprinkling program. We introduced this legislation to add the month of June, so currently it's July, August, and September, and it's something that's been requested frequently by the residents that we hear over at the annex when we collect the bills, and it does match the City of Cleveland's program then also if we add the extra June month.
All right.
Over the 3-month period, we estimated the average cost savings to be about $50 per plan participant. So for those 3 months that we have currently in effect, if we add the additional month, it'll probably be about $60 savings. And based on the 2022, based on the year 2022, we'd have a cost of about $26,250 for June. And like I said, it's about a savings of $10.36 per customer for that extra month.
All right. That seems pretty straightforward to me. Are there any questions regarding this?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll simply acknowledge the thoughtfulness of the proposal, and I know that we have been hearing from residents that they're feeling the pinch of increased water rates and sewer rates, which are have gotten increases for very important reasons that we all know about, the clean water plan for our sewer system. So it's welcome to have a means by which to exert some downward pressure on the monthly bills of many Lakewood residents who, water their lawns. I may have missed it, but what can you clarify again what prompted the proposed change? Was it a comparison with our peer cities, or was it a conversation with residents or something?
Popular request, I believe, over at the annex, just from talking to so many people. Just the feedback we received was, it's a popular program. So right now there's, 2,500 people in it, and I guess think people want to do more of those type of activities in June, and perhaps they're holding back now.
Very good. Thank you.
Right. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You're using more water, but you're not necessarily using the sewer more, so your rates shouldn't go up. I think that's the long and short of the rationale for this legislation. And of course, you want to save on some of your water. You could always try planting a natural yard, which is easier because of amendments to the noxious weed ordinance. So anyway, that's my plug. I'm going to move to, if there's no more comments or questions, I'm going to move to recommend approval to the full council.
Second?
All right, is there any discussions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and the ayes have it, and without objection, I'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.